Let me just give you a little theory about growing and scaling, and it's the theory of the plumber. I had a toilet break and I needed a plumber. So I go next door and the guy says, call Ronnie Boone. He fixes everyone. He's the best plumber. So I call Ronnie Boone up. Ronnie Boone shows up that night, fixes my toilet. It's cheap, efficient, it was good. And every time you needed him, he was there for you. On the spot, he just kept getting busier and busier and busier. And as he got busier and busier and busier, now instead of calling him up and he'd be there that afternoon, oh, Jeff, I can get there I call him on a Monday. I'll get there before the weekend because I'm, doing this install. I can get there Thursday. All right, maybe I can wait. But he got busier and busier. So finally, he's like, man, I got to scale and I got to grow. So he gets an apprentice. Now he has a second truck. So now he's got 2 trucks. He's doing half the plumbing. You might be able to get him instead of Thursday, like in 2 days. He's getting a little bit better service, but he's still staying busy because he built such a great reputation as a plumber. So now he has 3, 4 trucks. Okay, but gotta grow. I don't see Ronnie for like a couple years. And I run into him sitting at Pete's Dancing Marlin Bar. He's having a burger and a beer. And I said, Ronnie Boone, I haven't seen you in a while. He goes, man, life sucks. And I go, what do you mean? I see your trucks all over town. He goes, I don't fish anymore. I don't see my family. All I do is putting out fires here. This guy doesn't show up. I gotta manage this. This truck's broken down. I'm sitting in an office all day. He goes, I don't even plumb anymore. I'm like, Ronnie, what are you gonna do? He goes, I should go back to just have 1 truck and plumbing because that's when I could go fishing on weekends. I enjoyed life. I saw my family and everything.
Okay, well, that's a pretty classic entrepreneur story of growth. But Ronnie's problem is not that he should go back to having 1 truck and doing it all himself. He could, but the problem with that is when you want to take a vacation, well, guess what? Your customers are still having to wait a week or more for you to get there. They're going to call someone else in the meantime. And maybe that's okay, but then you get sick for a couple weeks or a month. Now you're not making any income and life gets pretty stressful at that point. You never really get to take any time off. You never get to relax. You never get to save for retirement. You're always just grinding away doing those. You're putting out the same daily fires that you are when you're managing people. It's just different fires, right? Your truck breaks down. You get a tough job. You get an angry customer. You're dealing with 100% of everything. So when you're managing 4 or 5 trucks or half a dozen people or a dozen people, it might seem like going back to that one-man shop is a lot less stressful. You remember the old days when you didn't have to deal with all that stuff. But you forget the old days where you were stressed out about not having enough jobs to pay the bills or having too many jobs that you couldn't get to and working 12, 16 hours a day to try to get to everything and keep people happy, and then wanting to take time off but never being able to because there was always something else to do. So the real answer here is not to stay a one-man business, but it's really to put systems in place, to put operations in place. So you're not still the key piece of the business, but now instead of just you, it's 10 or 12 or 15 people. So the solution to Ronnie's problem is not to go backwards. It's to figure out where those bottlenecks are, figure out what those things are that he shouldn't have to be dealing with, that there's better ways to deal with, and put solutions and processes in place. And then Ronnie can go back to fishing, he can spend more time with his family, but he can still be making 2 or 3 or 4 times what he was making when he was by himself. And if something happens where he's can't work for a week or a month or something else, his income doesn't stop and the business doesn't fall apart and everything doesn't hinge on him. So it's sort of a false fallacy that the one-man business is somehow this utopia situation, and as soon as you have employees and you grow, it becomes hard and stressful, and that's where things all fall apart. It can happen that way, but that's a decision you've made or failed to make, and it definitely doesn't have to happen that way.